In this tutorial, I wanted to start talking about increasing. Now, increasing is a great thing to learn when you're knitting because that starts to change the shape of your project. So instead of just knitting a straight line to make squares and rectangles, instead we can start to create curves and shapes. And for example, this triangle shape, we cast on a few stitches at the bottom here, and then you can see how it's increasing out like so. And you can see on this side, we're making one right, M1R, which essentially adds a stitch to your project, but makes it lean to the right. And then the opposite of that is the make one left, where it leans to the left. So you can see that these center stitches here are just regular knit stitches, but either side of that, you can have the increases that start to change the direction of your work. In this particular swatch, I'm knitting all the way to these center 2 stitches, and just before we get to the center 2 stitches, we're going to increase. But I'll do that for the first row, and then on the next one, I'm just going to show you make one right, make one left, loads of times. First things first, I am going to knit, as we've been doing, all the way to the center 2 stitches. So yarn at the back, wrap round, bring it to the front, drop it off. Regular knit stitches. Now, if you're looking to increase your stitches, by now, I'm assuming that you know how to do a knit stitch. And if you don't, we got you covered. Okay, right. Okay, got 2 more stitches, 1, 2. Okay, so these are the 2 stitches that are in the middle, and we want to increase in this area. So to do that, we're going to make one right as the first one we're going to do. The way I like to do it is we take this bar here is the guy that we want to pick up to create our new stitch with. If you can see between the 2 stitches, there's this bit of yarn that kind of lays between. So what we're going to do is I like to use my right needle to go from the front underneath it to pick it up, and then we're going to transfer it onto this left needle by going behind the bar like so. Now it's wrapped around your needle, and then we're going to go into it from the front as if we're going to knit the stitch regularly. It gets a little bit fiddly, so you want to keep it a little bit looser, and then you wrap round and knit as normal, and therefore you have created a stitch that is going to lean to the right. And then you carry on knitting as normal, and you've created this stitch here that you can see is leaning to the right. I'm going to show you again, same stitch. Between this stitch and this stitch, we want to increase by making one that leans to the right. So you can see this bar here. That is what we're going to be picking up. So using your right needle, you're going to pick it up from the front to the back. So you're going to go into it here and pick it up. So once you got there, I'll let you catch up. And now what we're going to do is use our right needle to go behind it and drop it onto the left needle. So behind like this, like so. And now you've got that stitch here ready to knit. So now what we're going to do is knit the stitch like normal as if this is a stitch. So we're going to go to the left of it, and then we're going to go through it, and it kind of creates like quite a tight loop. So you have to get into it, then wrap the yarn around like normal, and then bring it to the front and drop it off. And there you have just increased the stitch, and you continue your row as normal. And you can see here, this is the stitch that we've just increased, and it leans to the right. I've just gone back to increase again. I'm going to say it, then do it, and let you catch up with each step so that you can follow along. Okay, so let's first identify the bit of yarn that we're working with. So you can see between these 2 stitches, there's this bar. That is what we're going to be working with. So with our right needle, we're going to go under the bar and have it on our right needle. So under, on. I'll let you catch up. So you go with your right needle under the bar from the front to the back onto your right needle. Okay, now what we're going to do is using our left needle, we're going to go from the back to the front to drop it onto our left needle. So we're going from the back through to the front to drop onto our left needle. And now it's created this weird looking stitch that's not quite a stitch yet because we have to knit it. In order to do that, what we're going to do is knit it as if it is a normal stitch by going to the left through the front bar of that stitch. It's a little bit fiddly because it's not a proper stitch yet. And then we're going to wrap our yarn around that back needle, bring it to the front, and then drop it off. And that is making one to the right. And then you knit the next stitch just to secure it all. So here you can see the extra stitch that we've created, and you can see how we've done that all the way along. And then on the wrong side, you're just going to purl it as if it was a normal stitch. The reason we have a make one right and a make one left is to create shape where it flows, where it's not just getting bigger and smaller in different directions because we just want to make it bigger. Sometimes having that flow and that direction, it makes it look a little bit more pro. Now I'm going to knit past these two center stitches. Now what we're going to do is a make one left. Now, in my opinion, a make one left is slightly easier because it's less fiddly to get my needles into. But we're going to follow some of the same principles. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the bar between the two stitches. Then we're going to use our left needle to go from the front underneath it to pick it up onto our left needle. Now we're going to knit this stitch, but instead of knitting through the front loop here, what we're going to do is we're going to knit through the back part of this stitch. So the back leg of the stitch, like so, and then we're going to knit it as if we were knitting normally, bring it to the front, like so, and drop it off. And there we have made a stitch that leans to the left. And I'll knit it there to secure it so then we can see it. So you can see here our two center stitches. The stitch that we added to the right goes here, and the stitch that we just added to the left is leaning that way. I'm going to show you again and go super slow. So here is the bar between the two stitches where we want to make one left. What we're going to do is we're going to take our left needle and we're going to put it underneath that bar from the front into the back. So under the bar and onto our left needle, like so. You see that? Now, what we're going to do is take our right needle and we're going to knit into the back leg. So we're going to take our right needle and we're going to put it into the back of the stitch, like so. So it's right into the back loop. It's the same loop, same bit of yarn, but it's in the back of the needle instead of in the front. Then we're going to take our yarn, wrap it round, and bring it to the front like we would when we were normally knitting, and drop it off, and that is a make one left. I'm going to secure it so we can see it, and there you have it. Right here, our two center stitches, and this was where we made one to the left. I'm going to show you again. I've got you. In this, like sometimes the increases, you're like, wait, what? Where am I putting my needle? Front, back, sideways, upside down? It all sounds a little bit like gibberish. But again, once you understand the mechanics of it, it'll all make sense. Because you make one right, you end up knitting from the front, and the make one left, you end up knitting through the back. So, make one left. You're going, you find the bar. It's between the two stitches. Everybody can see the bar, right? Okay, we got the bar. Now we're going to take the left needle and we're going to put it under this bar. So left needle from the front under the bar to bring it onto our left needle. Are we all there? So this is the bar. If it's gone round here, like we just picked it up, this is the bar that we want to knit into from the back. So we're going to knit through this back loop like that, in here, like that. And then we're going to knit it like normal. So we take our yarn, wrap it around that back needle, and then bring it back through where we just came from and drop it off. And actually make one left. So, and there we have it, right? Now that we've done make one right and make one left, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the wrong side. So let's knit to the end of our swatches, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. Right. On our wrong side, you can see a little bit where those increases take place because it kind of like distorts the fabric a little bit. Here are the center stitches, and then we've added either side. I'm going to purl across to those stitches so you can see, because they end up being a little bit tighter than usual stitches, because at the end of the day, we've made a stitch from nothing, from a bar that was between two stitches. So I'm going to purl across to where those stitches were made. So, do-do-do, do-do-do. Nearly there. Okay, right. Now we're at our previous row's increase, and you can see it doesn't look all that different to the regular stitches because you have already essentially knitted it once you created the stitch. So you just work the back side or the wrong side as normal. So you're just going to purl it like before, like you would anything. Then we're going to carry on knitting the two stitches that are in the middle. And then this is the other stitch that we used as an increase. Again, it looks pretty normal, right? It just doesn't have any stitches underneath it because it was the first one that we created from the row previous. So we're going to purl across to the end of the row as normal. Nearly there. Right. So now you can see from the row before where we added those stitches. So here is our make one to the right, and you can see it's leaning to the right out of it. And here is our make one left, and it's leaning out to the left. And that is how we add a make one right and a make one left. I have an example of something that I made a long time ago. I made this heart-shaped vest. I was just playing around with increasing and decreasing, and you can see the center of this all the way up has this single stitch in the middle that stays where it is, and then along the outside of it, you can see how make one right, make one left, either side of the stitches that create this lovely shape. It's also a great stitch and one of the stitches that you'll learn for a raglan shaped jumper when you knit it in the round. If you're used to knitting jumpers in panels, this will be able to help you start to knit things in the round, which for me, I love because it involves less sewing. Thank you for watching this video. Now don't forget to subscribe to Let's Get Knitting for more tutorials of knit and crochet, and of course, some extras from Game of War.